Thank you all for being here, and I do appreciate you coming out this afternoon. This is actually the first time since the first budget I presented to the county legislature that, in fact, we've presented it here in the chambers, and I want to extend my appreciation to Chairman Borkett, the leadership of both caucuses in the legislature, not only for being here with us tonight, but really over the last 4 years. I think we've forged a fairly strong partnership and collaboration, wherein we've worked to provide the very best for the citizens and residents of Dutchess County. So tonight it's my pleasure to really present to you the 2017 tentative budget, the executive budget. And in it and with it, we're highlighting a number of areas of concern throughout the community. But you'll see throughout the budget, we've organized our priorities around a few key ideas. The first, maintaining fiscal stability, strengthening Dutchess County's economic condition and strengthening Dutchess County's financial posture. Making our community safer, improving our criminal justice system, and applying Dutchess County's model of restorative justice. And as you know, we've established a very bold goal of being the healthiest county in the state of New York within the decade. And by working together and improving the overall condition of every resident, we can make Dutchess County healthier. And I happen to think that at the end of the day, we are judged as individuals and as a community by how we treat one another. And I think that in this, I hope, momentary time of coarse dialogue and too many times harsh rhetoric, that perhaps we could extend to one another more compassion, and that as a community we would seek to be kinder to one another, and you'll see this budget reflect that throughout. So let's start with the fiscal condition of our county. As you know, I came into office in 2012, and we had to confront some serious fiscal challenges. In particular, of course, and most important, was not only Dutchess County's financial condition, but the financial condition of the families who call Dutchess County home. And together, I think we've established a stronger financial position for the county. Now, the 2017 budget is a $467 million spending plan. It actually keeps spending flat compared to current spending now in 2006. It's about a 0.2% increase over current spending. Now, I know that you have seen this next slide before. It's actually my favorite, but I think it's most important because in this state, this is the harsh reality of governing at the local level. Without question, despite our efforts to provide core and critical services to county residents, and any county across the state can say this, we continue to be overburdened by state and federal mandates that really crowd out our ability to provide local services. 70% of Dutchess County's budget, 70% of our tax levy, and 70 cents of every tax dollar is dictated by Albany or Washington. And this, for New Yorkers, has to end. It's one of the reasons that we are and remain among the highest taxed citizens in the country. And it's one of the reasons that we have among the slowest economic recoveries outside of the city of New York, because the added burden of having to shoulder state spending forced down on the backs of local property taxpayers. In fact, no state in America forces so much of its agenda down onto local property taxpayers more than the state of New York. And that has to be confronted. And I think that we have to continue to have this dialogue and continue to fight for real mandate relief, which is why the 2017 budget includes a grouping of important initiatives. We're asking the county legislature to join us in calling on the state legislature to repeal the MTA payroll tax. Now, this is one of 6 taxes forced upon Dutchess County residents. In fact, it costs us in 2017 an estimated $400,000 more to support the MTA. Since its inception, we have spent nearly $2.2 million in taxpayer money to pay the 6th tax to the MTA. Additionally, something that our county clerk has highlighted time and time again, despite the fact that we are mandated in many ways to provide DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle Services, at the local level, and our county clerk has done so with less resources, less staff, and has done it effectively and efficiently. Despite all of that, and despite the fact that we're carrying much of the load for the state of New York, they only allow us to retain 12.7% of DMV revenues at the local level. So that means, by the way, that they take that dollar from us and they give us that 12.7 cents back while we shoulder the cost of providing those services. Well, we're asking you to join with us, and many of you have called on the state legislature to adopt a bill that has passed the New York State Senate, but has yet to pass the New York State Assembly. That would call for increasing the amount of funds we can retain. Now, heaven forbid we ask the state of New York to keep actually the dollars that we generate here in Dutchess County to offset local property tax burden and provide for our services. We wouldn't ask for the whole thing. This legislation adopted in the state Senate, we need it adopted in the state Assembly, would increase our retention from 12.7% to 25%. That's an additional $2 million of money that is paid out by Dutchess County citizens to DMV for DMV services in Dutchess County that right now would go to Albany. We'd like that back here. And of course, those two mandate relief requests are on top of the one that you already have adopted. And that is for the state of New York to do what it is constitutionally required to do. And that is to provide for the entire funding for public defense for those who don't have the means to access legal representation at any stage in the criminal justice process. Now, you know we've expanded our public defense, and we've done a great amount to ensure that every individual, regardless of means, has that representation. But this is a constitutional right of every citizen, and it is, by the way, the Constitution of the state of New York that dictates the state should be paying for it. Well, thanks to our state legislative delegation, including Assembly Member Dee Barrett and Senator Sue Serino. I know that Senators here and Assemblywoman Barrett is represented here. Thanks to them and our delegation, the state legislature adopted the full take-back of the public defender's cost. Well, that bill sits on the governor's desk. And I will say this clearly, there is absolutely no excuse for not signing this legislation into law. It is a constitutional mandate and is the right of every citizen to ensure that there is no question as to whether or not they receive representation, regardless of means, and it's time the state pay for that requirement. Now, within all of this, by the way, that would save Dutchess County $4 million a year in expense. Now, our budget, of course, is made up of expenditures and revenue, and let's talk about the revenue for a moment. The 2017 executive budget includes the third consecutive year of property tax levy reductions. It is a modest reduction of $175,000. And at the same time, thanks to economic growth, we are able to provide the second consecutive year of tax rate reductions. Now, this budget also manages our fund balance appropriately. As you know, and I have said this, and I think you can probably go back to the 6 county executives before me who have said the same thing. Our fund balance is a statement of our fiscal security. It provides us the balance we need during difficult times, and it allows us to pay our bills and ensure fiscal stability. Well, Dutchess County was able to revitalize together. We revitalized and replenished our fund balance over these last several years together, and we now have an appropriate amount of reserves. Well, the 2017 budget appropriates $8.75 million from the general fund balance. This allows us to maintain fiscal responsibility while at the same time keep our reserves projected at the 10% suggested rate. Now, earlier this year, many of you embraced with us what we had announced, the creation of a taxpayer protection fund. Living in this environment where we're not too sure necessarily what our economic condition will look like moving forward, and I don't know if you know this, but every time this country elects a president, sometimes things don't go according to plan. So we want to be sure that we're prepared to weather the economic storms. So we created a taxpayer protection fund earlier this year so that we can ensure over the next several years that we would not overburden Dutchess County's property taxpayers. This budget that we propose to you appropriates $3.5 million from that taxpayer protection fund, and that will allow us to replicate that over the next 3 years. Now, additionally, we set aside $3.3 million in a capital project set-aside. The goal here was to set aside some of those reserve funds so that we could minimize the reliance on new debt. I don't know if you saw this, but Dutchess County has among the lowest per capita debt loads of any county in the state of New York, and the lowest in the region. There's a reason that we want to ensure that we don't overburden ourselves with debt. So we set aside this $3.3 million to minimize the reliance on debt. And as you know, together we will have appropriated $1.1 million of that as a supplement to our shared services grant program to provide assistance to supervisors and mayors, and I know there's a few of you here, to address important capital projects. The remainder of that capital project set aside, we would like to apply to an exciting capital project that we'll be talking about in a few moments that will hopefully launch in partnership with the Dutchess Community College. Now, we do want to acknowledge that the budget includes a relatively flat or level state and federal revenue. And at this point, I do want to absolutely acknowledge the assistance of Senator Sue Serino and Assemblywoman Dee Dee Barrett, both of whom have provided much-needed resources to this county to help us reshape mental health services in innovative and creative ways, expand our reentry programming in order to ensure that reforming our criminal justice system, driving down recidivism. And by the way, thanks to Senator Sue Serino and Assemblymember Barrett, we are now able to provide our third consecutive year of tax levy reductions. They deserve a round of applause. Now, the county's largest revenue stream is, in fact, our sales tax, as you probably know. And I would reiterate that it is the sales tax you vote on, you establish, and you impose on Dutchess County's visitors, taxpayers, etc. It is a county revenue source. It is the largest of all of our revenue sources. We expect and have projected a $6.5 million increase in sales tax receipts. We have responsibly projected a 1.25% rate increase over this year, with 18.5% of all new dollars in sales tax being distributed and shared with our towns, villages, and cities. Now, additionally, thanks to the efforts that you have embraced, thanks to the marketing efforts of Dutchess Tourism, Inc., and I want to acknowledge at least once, probably 3 times, Mary Kay Verba and the entire board and staff at Dutchess Tourism. Thank you, Mary Kay. Because of their effort, there has been, for the last decade, one segment of our economy that has seen consistent growth, and that has been the tourism industry. And for those of us in northern or eastern Dutchess County, I can offer to you that is the largest segment of our economy. It continues to see substantial rates of growth, and the 2017 tentative budget projects a 4% growth in hotel-motel tax revenues. Now, I'm happy to say that this is the second year since the Great Economic Recession. This is the second year Dutchess County's full value assessment will have increased. It is slow, it is modest, but we have turned the tide from a once 25% reduction in total assessed valuation now with slow and steady growth. In the 2017 full value assessment will near $30 billion. Now, one indicator of our fiscal strength is our bond rating. And as you know, when I came into office, this county had suffered a modest bond rating downgrade. Now, thanks to our efforts together, the legislature and the administration, along with the comptroller and my colleagues in county service, we have wrung out efficiencies in county government. We've consolidated county government. I would remind my friends in local government that we made some harsh and difficult decisions, including the elimination of 112 full-time positions in 2 years because we had to. And those were the tough decisions we were willing to make in order to rebound and grow Dutchess County's fiscal strength. Well, I'm happy to tell you that we maintain our AA rating, which is the second highest bond rating of any county in the state of New York, and Standard & Poor's continues to acknowledge Dutchess County's strong economy and our strong management with good financial policies and practices. Those are the responsible decisions that each of you have made to ensure that Dutchess County is fiscally strong. Now, we are also, as I mentioned, experiencing what I'll refer to as modest economic growth. We'd like it to be more robust, certainly. But if you look across the state of New York, there's one place that's seeing substantial economic recovery while everyone seems to be slugging along. And that one place is New York City. In fact, if you were to take New York City out of the state of New York, we would have upstate the slowest economic recovery and the slowest growth of any place in America. Yet, despite all that, Dutchess County, in fact, today continues to see unemployment rates decline. Our year-to-date average of 4.1% is the second lowest unemployment rate in the state of New York. Now, that is one indicator. What's the other? Well, job growth. In 2016, in the first quarter of this year alone, 1,885 new jobs were created for Dutchess County residents. And another indicator, our office and industrial vacancy rates continue to be the lowest in the region. And currently there is $3.2 billion in large construction projects underway or in the planning and permitting process here in Dutchess. And I want to acknowledge the stellar leadership of the city of Poughkeepsie's new mayor. $500 million hospital investment, transforming healthcare in Dutchess County and that's going to happen in the city of Poughkeepsie. Rob, thanks for being here today. Now, despite our statements stating otherwise, we had not transitioned our economic development apparatus from a really single employer focus to a much more diverse effort. We had some 13 separate economic development agencies supporting economic growth in Dutchess, and we were focused on streamlining, consolidating, and making more effective our economic development infrastructure. Now, under the leadership of the Assistant County Executive for Economic Development, Ron Hicks, our Think Dutchess Business Alliance is in a one-stop shop, bringing together our partners in economic development so that we're coordinating and working together. The 2017 budget includes a $452,000 commitment to the Think Dutchess Alliance effort. That is the same as what was committed in 2016. Additionally, the External Marketing Council will continue its efforts to attract new employers from outside the county to Dutchess. We are seeing some very exciting small manufacturers and larger employers now moving into the county. In particular, I would note advancements in the city of Beacon, and again, several small manufacturers in the city of Poughkeepsie. Now, Think Dutchess has also attended 11 trade shows nationally, where our focus has been and remains on private sector job growth. At the same time, in partnership with the Dutchess County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and I want to acknowledge that its president and CEO is here, Frank Costello. Thank you for joining us. Because of our partnership with the Dutchess County Regional Chamber of Commerce, we are focused, as well as attracting new employers, we're focused on those real job creators now. 70% of all new jobs are created by existing small businesses, and we are focused on helping those existing businesses in our village and city and town centers to grow. So we are focused on attraction and retention along with expanding existing businesses. Now, this budget acknowledges the work of Dutchess Tourism and our continued efforts to grow tourism as an industry. In 2017, this tentative budget includes a $1.3 million investment in Dutchess Tourism Incorporated. This is a $225,000 increase over this year. Why? Because again, there are whole segments of Dutchess County where this is our industry. This is our employer. You don't have to go past Rhinebeck or Clinton or Eastern Dutchess to recognize that the work that tourism does, in some ways, is really the one, if you will, outreach, presence, how shall I say, economic driver that many of our communities have in partnership with Dutchess County. Dutchess Tourism has attended conferences and conventions internationally in the UK, in Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, reaching hundreds of operators and travel agents across the world. Now, within that is, of course, our efforts to grow agritourism. And agritourism has expanded through our Farm Fresh tours that now include 12 farms and 10 food and beverage facilities. And if you were at the Culinary Institute only a week ago, you know that Dutchess County is the epicenter of New York State's food and beverage industry, where we continue to grow and we continue to experiment. And we are the innovators of great farm-to-table and great food and culinary and beverage creation here in this region, in this county. At the same time, we continue to see the expansion of filming in Dutchess County, and Dutchess Tourism has assisted dozens of film scouts throughout the county just this year. And currently there are 5 feature films underway in the region. I was hoping to get a star role, but Mary Kay couldn't pull that off for me, although I am quite the character. Is it Joe? Right now, there are 6 new hotels and inns planned with planned openings in the coming months, again, generating new revenue, new investment, new jobs in our county. And tourism represents nearly 10,000 jobs countywide. And thanks to our efforts, and thanks to the efforts of Dutchess Tourism, they are generating more hotel and sales tax revenue that come when visitors come here. And tourism for us brings 4.1 million visitors into Dutchess County, generating $500 million of visitor spending. All of that creating economic growth, all of that creating jobs. And we have Dutchess Tourism and Mary Kay Verba to thank, and now she deserves another round of applause. I learned a long time ago as the mayor of the village of Tivoli that without the arts industry, we wouldn't have in my hometown an industry. And we know how valuable Arts Mid-Hudson is in our partnership with them. This budget increases our commitment to Arts Mid-Hudson by 10%. Now, our partnership with Arts Mid-Hudson and our investment in this arts community, if you will, supports 19 separate organizations across Dutchess County, ensuring a lively and a very vibrant arts community. And the arts as an industry produces $30 million of economic development and economic impact in Dutchess. It's responsible for 1,100 area jobs, and they attract 640,000 visitors, generating $62 million of spending in Dutchess County. Now, I know that this is as important as to me. I know that there are a number of folks here. I'd acknowledge our friends at Cornell Cooperative Extension, but I want to acknowledge legislators Greg Pulver and Sandy Washburn, who have kept Dutchess County focused on growing the farming industry in this community. Only a decade ago, you would have written the obituary for Dutchess County farming. And you would have assumed that because of the suburbanization of America and because of the decline in people's desire to know where their food came from, that agriculture wouldn't flourish. But it is again, and it is growing in Dutchess part of the pond. It is growing in Dutchess County. And it's because of our partnership with great organizations like Cornell and working hand in hand with area farmers. Farming represents 2,200 jobs in this community, and this budget, you should know, this budget dedicates, not competitive, dedicates $262,500 for our growing agricultural industry. This is a $107,000 commitment to agribusiness development, opening new markets. This is a $55,000 investment in our agricultural navigator, the only in the region to advocate for Dutchess County's farmers. And this includes a $100,000 agriculture and horticulture sustainability project. And now, also with this budget, as we have recommitted to our Partnership for Manageable Growth, we are presenting to you another $1 million bond request to continue Dutchess County's very aggressive efforts to preserve active farmland. We ask you to approve that, as you did last year, so we can continue to protect agriculture that is active in our community. And by putting these dollars to work on the street, we're able to connect existing protected farms with those farmers that are working hard every day to grow their business. And by the way, I would remind you, they are businesses. They very much are family-owned, but Dutchess County's farms and farms across the state of New York are among our most vibrant small businesses. And small businesses generate economic growth, and small businesses benefit everyone. And I would say to my partners in the cities of Beacon and Poughkeepsie, and by the way, some of our more suburban communities, if you didn't have the open space in northern Dutchess, and you didn't have the investment in farmland in eastern Dutchess County, we wouldn't have the kind of quality of life that we enjoy today. It is a partnership. And the money that we hold, Dutchess County uses to invest in our services, including the preservation of farmland, is as important to the city of Poughkeepsie and Beacon as it is to the people in Northeast and Stanfordville. And that's a value, by the way, that is added and multiplied time and time again. Well, one of the challenges people always have in a struggling economy is getting to and from work. And Dutchess County has a very robust transit system in a county that isn't easy to have public transit. It's big, Dutchess County. In order to ensure that individuals who need to come to and from work, or individuals who want to get to school, or seniors to the grocery store, or by the way, those with disabilities who have an embarrassingly high unemployment rate, we need a full-time, full-service transit system. The 2017 budget includes a 7-day-a-week service. We will be adding Sundays to our 6-day schedule. At the same time, we will be expanding and creating a new route, Route I, in the town of Poughkeepsie, a very popular addition. I would also say, as the city of Poughkeepsie considers what it is going to do with transit, whether or not it continues its service, this budget is developed so that we can prepare, should the city decide to discontinue its bus service, Dutchess County will not leave City of Poughkeepsie residents without buses. This budget includes our ability to provide transit service in the City of Poughkeepsie, but we await whatever decision that the City Council and the Mayor make in the adoption of their budget. We're able to accomplish all of this in our transit system without any additional taxpayer subsidy. Now, beyond that, I would tell you that we also have to do better at improving our system. And this year, we will launch a new signage at our bus stop locations. We often hear that sometimes folks don't necessarily know where they are, so uniform signage. And additionally, because I will say this has been a difficult task, but we are moving into the 21st century with our transit system as well. We will be launching in 2017 a mobile application, so residents can, I guess they can track their bus and know where and when it's going to be stopping at any particular location. A much needed enhancement. Now, there's a legislator here who, for the past, I don't know, as long as anybody can remember, has asked Dutchess County to focus more aggressively on its airport. And as you know, when I came into office, Joe in Coronado, just saying, as I came into office, we said one of the things we had to do was to grow Dutchess County's assets as economic development engines. And the most, we've often said this, the cleanest canvas, if you will, for great economic growth owned by Dutchess County is our airport. This budget, the 2017 budget, reduces taxpayer subsidy by another 16%. And thanks to your leadership and willingness to partner with the private sector since taking office, the taxpayer subsidy of the Dutchess County Airport has been reduced by $600,000 or 77%. We're making that business function as a business. Thanks to the Department of Public Works, John Morris at the airport, and Deputy County Executive Bill O'Neill, we are in the final stages of FAA approval for the installation of a solar array at the airport. Thanks to Dutchess County's Department of Public Works and the Water and Wastewater Authority, we're about 90% done with the design of the water line connecting the Central Dutchess Water Corridor to the Dutchess County Airport. And thanks to grants secured, we will move forward with the design of a new aviation rescue and firefighter building. Now, additionally, we are upgrades to the county's airport terminal are underway, along with the creation of a new cafe, improvements to our elevator, improvements to bathrooms, and updates to the exterior facade of the airport. Now, all of this is possible thanks to a $900,000 grant secured through the state of New York. Now, I half jokingly, but I really do admire Joe for being steadfast in his desire to see the county airport be more than it is today. And thanks to your leadership and really the work of the Department of Public Works, along with our office and the efforts of Think Dutchess, our airport is no longer a county airport. It is a regional airport. It attracts businesses and employers and individuals from across the region, and we are becoming more and more a feeder airport for other counties' airports that are just too busy. And if Dutchess County is going to maximize the benefit of the Dutchess County Airport, it is time to abandon the local parochial focus of the airport. So we are proposing in a resolution to the legislature acknowledging the regional impact of Dutchess County's airport by rebranding and renaming it the Hudson Valley Regional Airport. It speaks to the region as a whole, that we are able to attract businesses and employers. We're attracting folks who are spending money in our community. And they want to go to a regional airport with, by the way, decent bathrooms and a cafe and decent elevators and great assets. So the Hudson Valley Regional Airport, should you adopt this, will enable us to continue to promote it as an economic asset with great financial return. Now, additionally, in partnership with Dutchess Community College, we are seeking to expand their aviation program to include, and we're very grateful to DCC, to include an airframe and power plant program on site. And I don't think Pamela could be here today, but we're very grateful. I have to tell you, if you don't and haven't met the president of Dutchess Community College, she has provided stellar leadership and really has advanced DCC in a short period of time. So extend to Pamela and the entire staff at DCC our appreciation. This next partnership that we intend to launch at the airport is very exciting. So in partnership with DCC and by use of that capital project set aside, we are proposing the construction of an aviation maintenance and education center. The total project cost is about $8 million. Now, half of that will be funded by the New York State Dormitory Authority. The remaining half, $2.25 million of that, we will ask to make use of that capital project set aside, with the remaining balance to be offset by leasing 1/3 of our new space. This is a part of our continued effort to expand the economic benefit of the airport, but also at the same time, in partnership with DCC, to train young people for jobs with great paychecks, for jobs of the 21st century, for those that we know at this location, at a regional airport, that we can attract. And by having the education, having the tools, having the teachers on site, we can grow jobs at Dutchess Community, thanks to Dutchess Community College at the Hudson Valley Regional Airport, all as a part of growing Dutchess County's economy. Now, I want to say this because I think it's important. The most dangerous words in government are Well, that's the way we've always done it. And when I came into office, I had served 12 years in local government, 6 years in the county legislature, and I can tell you there are countless city council members, there are countless village trustees, town supervisors, board members, who, by the way, would be quite happy with that being the answer. Well, that's the way we've always done it. That is unacceptable for taxpayers. They expect us to innovate, to come up with new ways to provide services, to ensure that we are being more effective and more efficient in the delivery of services. And our shared services and consolidation grant program, now in its 5th year, has been tremendously successful. And having met with the supervisors and mayors and having our last shared services summit, we recognize that we're ready for the next stage of what we do collectively with our cities, towns, and villages. They have, many of them, tremendously innovative ideas. They want to focus new resources in coming up with ways to govern better, to improve democracy, to enhance the delivery of service. So we are repackaging and rebranding the Municipal Consolidation and Shared Services Program, if only to cut it down in length, a number of words. And the 2017 budget launches our Municipal Innovation Program and dedicates another $1 million to support municipal innovation ideas towards shared services and greater efficiencies. We cannot continue to govern the way we always have. You need only to look out the door to recognize that we have to change the way in which we do business. We have to support our friends and neighbors. And by the way, the only people who care about municipal boundaries are municipal officials. Poverty extends beyond municipal boundaries. Environment, economic development, all beyond municipal boundaries. And by working together collaboratively, we can enhance the way in which we do business. Now, additionally, we think that we have to focus innovation on land use and economic development. I don't know if you know this, but it's very complicated to get a project from application to approval. And by the way, in New York State, the land use system is built to be combative, unnecessarily so. And it shouldn't take 2 and 3 years to move a project that conforms with a municipality's master plan, that fits in its zoning code. And by the way, it is not okay to ask someone to do something with their money that you don't have right to ask them to do. If your zoning code says there's architectural standards, apply them. But if they don't, you can't ask somebody to paint the shutters differently. And you can't ask them to plant flowers differently just because you want to. There has to be code, and I'm all for it. I'm all for making sure municipalities articulate their desire for economic growth and land use. And we want to help them. We want to help them use the same language and use the same resources and speak in the same way so that it's easier to move projects. So our Municipal Innovation Program will include a segment of funding for innovative and creative ideas to coordinate land use and bring about economic development. And we want our municipalities to embrace the same reforms to the criminal justice system that you have embraced. Restorative justice, a focus on prevention and intervention, diversion, and reentry, helping municipalities work across municipal boundaries to share in technology. So 1/3 of our commitment in the Municipal Innovation Program will be dedicated to criminal justice, so that municipalities can work together and expand, perhaps, programs like our countywide drug task force. I don't know if every community wants to have its own justice court, but there were proposals years ago to blend and merge several justice courts together. Well, that's an idea that's innovative that we would be willing to consider and support. And at the same time, not every municipality needs its own communication system, IT, software, dispatch, etc., etc. And we want to ensure interoperability among police agencies, and we want to work hand in hand to support municipal software and communication upgrades. There's a lot of police agencies in Dutchess County, and if we're going to enhance public safety, they need to be working together. And we want our innovation program to support those kinds of things as well. And as part of that, in order to improve Dutchess County's public safety, we are focused on a total reform, if you will, embodied in our model of restorative justice, with a focus on prevention, intervention, diversion, and transition. Not one without the other. All trying to prevent incidents from occurring, trying to intervene in order to de-escalate, and trying to divert individuals from the criminal justice system who don't belong there. People with mental illness are not criminals because they have mental health disorders. And they need to be diverted from the criminal justice system. And at the same time, those trapped in the criminal justice system, by the way, put there not by anyone in this room, not put there because of prosecution and a judge. But if they're trapped in the criminal justice system, we want to help them transition back into the community so that they don't reoffend and don't end up back in Dutchess County's jail. So we're reforming our criminal justice system with the goal of making our community safer while driving down our jail population. Now, the 2017 budget includes a new program, a GPS monitoring program through the Department of Probation for DWI offenders and sex offenders. Additionally, thanks to the leadership of our public defender, Tom Angel, who carries a heavy burden on his shoulders. And Tom, we appreciate the work that you and your attorneys do on behalf of those who can't afford representation. He deserves a round of applause. This budget doesn't fool around. It makes permanent the fact that we will provide public defense in all courts at the time of arraignment. It also makes permanent a pilot program that we launched in this year, 2016, to provide the public defender during parole hearings. Now, someone who acknowledges and recognizes the burden and the weight of ensuring the safety of our community is our district attorney. And Bill Grady and his team have been working hand in hand with Dutchess County's Criminal Justice Council. In fact, has been a leader across the state in ensuring that we move toward a more innovative criminal justice system. Well, this budget, in recognition that the DA's office needs additional resources in order to move cases and drive down inmate population, this budget includes two new assistant district attorneys. And to those members of this legislature who stood and asked, as I stood there at that podium, why we don't have more and why we don't need more, I expect your support of two new assistant district attorneys at the DA's office. That's how we will move those trapped in the system out of Dutchess County's jail. And maybe back into the community or maybe to complete a sentence someplace else. But we need to move the service forward. Additionally, this budget makes permanent one of those ADAs will be focused on combating human trafficking and child abuse. And Bill, you deserve a great deal of credit for your leadership in domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse, and we're grateful for the partnership and your service here. Thank you. So let me say what Brian Doyle would want me to say. When it comes to sexual assault and domestic violence in this county, we start by believing. If an individual is the victim of abuse or sexual assault, this county must assume first that they have been victimized. We believe them first. We acknowledge the fact that they need service and assistance. And this budget commits $2.1 million in domestic violence prevention and response to domestic violence and sexual assault. It includes additional funding for a non-medical model forensic examination program and continues to support victims and enhance the prosecution of those who would dare to assault individuals in the community. And sexual assault and domestic violence affects both genders, every age, every generation, every income level. And as a community, we are united, Republican, Democrat, up Northern Dutchess, Southern Dutchess, united in our efforts to combat sexual assault and domestic violence. And we thank our partners in this community who so aggressively combat domestic violence and sexual assault. Now, you're familiar with our Restart program. 277 graduates 277 individuals have graduated from the program to date. Project More, our partner in the application of Restart, has secured a $1.8 million grant to extend Restart to assist even more individuals re-entering the community, and that begins on January 1st with a focus on reducing recidivism and enhancing the ability of individuals to transition successfully back into the community. Now, beyond that, we're focused on strengthening law enforcement and improving overall public safety. This budget includes a new position in the Office of Central and Information Services. I want to make sure I got that right. Department of OCIS to assist in centralizing data, improving information sharing among police agencies, and eliminating redundancies, all while significantly improving public safety. Additionally, this budget includes 2 new deputy sheriffs to be added to the sheriff's office. And too often we don't give them the acknowledgement they deserve. But I don't know if you know this, but the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office is second to none. And we extend our appreciation to Sheriff Butch Anderson, Under Sheriff Kirk Imperati, and the entire staff at the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office for the sacrifice and service they make to this county. They deserve acknowledgement. We continue with the Sheriff's Office, our active shooter training for both law enforcement and first responders. To date, 300 career and volunteer first responders have been trained throughout the county. Now, one of our most innovative initiatives, and I think exceptionally valuable, has been our CIT training, our crisis intervention training. And thanks to a partnership with the City of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, by the end of 2016, will have provided for 50% of all law enforcement officials on the street will have been trained in CIT. Why is this valuable? It's about de-escalating situations. It's about identifying mental health and drug addiction and taking an individual who might otherwise be handcuffed and brought to a jail, bringing them to the services that they need, de-escalating the situation and providing for their own safety and ours as a whole. In 2017, we will continue CIT training. We will continue to work with our law enforcement partners, and we expect that we will have every officer on the street trained in CIT. Now, as critical as all of that is, the one area where Dutchess County is sort of the consolidated service, if you will, is 911. And I want to acknowledge, first and foremost, those men and women on the other side of the phone or the text message. But all of the staff at the Department of Emergency Response deserve acknowledgement under the leadership of Commissioner Dana Smith. Dana, thank you and your staff. This budget applies $2 million in grant funding for new 911 consoles and communication upgrades. We also continue our citizen preparedness program. We've already trained 500 individuals countywide, and we'll continue that effort in 2017. I know that if any of you are a volunteer or career firefighter, you'd be happy to know this, that right now, or if you've ever sat in the training room at the Department of Emergency Response, you'll appreciate that right now improvements to that classroom are underway, including some they're done? No. You're going to interrupt me. Take back the applause. Improvements to the volunteer training room are underway, and to all those in services, fire and emergency responders, the capital project budget for 2017 includes a financial commitment to make improvements, much needed improvements to our fire training center. So please, Greg, advise the firefighters that that's going to be advanced this year. Now, as important as our public safety is the safety of those on our streets, highways, and bridges. And in 2017, this budget reflects our continued commitment to improving and maintaining our county's roads, highways, and bridge infrastructure with a $15.25 million investment. Now, while we focus on public safety and overall community safety, we are also very cognizant of the fact that we all could do better as it relates to our own individual and collective public health. As you know, we've established the goal of being the healthiest county in the state of New York within the decade, and I believe that that's important. It's a matter of making our own individual decisions and collectively improving the overall quality of life and care of individuals countywide. We start, however, with an acknowledgement that this country is facing an epidemic, perhaps the most aggressive and perhaps the most difficult public health crisis of our day. Drug addiction and abuse. We are losing too many young people. We are losing too many families to both the demons of addiction and to outright overdose. And Dutchess County has been aggressive, but we can do better. I want to acknowledge and thank the Department of Behavioral and Community Health and the work that they do. And thank you, Acting Commissioner Margaret Hurst. Is Margaret here? Margaret, thank you very much for your leadership. And as we advertise and consider a new commissioner of the Department of Behavioral and Community Health, this budget commits to a continued expansion of our outreach efforts, public outreach, along with continued engagement with schools through our Second Step program, currently in 18 elementary and middle schools throughout the county. We will continue our Narcan training. BCH has already facilitated 900 Narcan trainings to date, with nearly 1,600 people trained to use Narcan since 2014. BCH staff has participated or facilitated 7 separate public forums on abuse and addiction in 2016. And by the way, we continue to learn from those interactions. And we take every idea, no matter where it comes from, and consider it as we continue to expand our efforts. Now, of importance has been our mental health first aid training. And we will continue that effort. Since 2014, we have trained 1,500 individuals with mental health first aid so that individuals across the county can be aware of and know how to react to those individuals living with and dealing with mental health issues. This budget reflects a $320,000 commitment to these programs. Now, a very exciting initiative for us, and by the way, one that distinguishes this county in the state of New York, is the creation of our Stabilization Center. We expect that the Stabilization Center will open in early 2017, and right now, we are moving forward with both training along with establishing the procedures and protocols for the Stabilization Center. This budget includes the funding for staff and partners in the Stabilization Center at $1 million. There are 8 separate partners on site with the goal and focus of diverting individuals from the criminal justice system and emergency rooms. And again, because they were so helpful to us, Dutchess County was able to move forward with our CIT training, with our reentry programming, and the Crisis Stabilization Center, thanks to Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett and Senator Sue Serino, and we're grateful to the both of you. Thank you. Now, we've accepted the Healthy Counties Challenge. Dutchess County was named one of the Healthy 50, securing a national grant award, wherein we're focused on enriching the diets of vulnerable populations, along with creating job opportunities in the city of Poughkeepsie for formerly incarcerated individuals. And by the way, our Healthy Counties Challenge will help us to expand and revitalize otherwise vacant space in the city of Poughkeepsie. Now, as I said earlier, I think that we are judged individually and collectively by how we interact and treat one another. When I was first elected, I said that our time together would be defined by how we answer 2 profound yet very simple questions. Who are we as a people, and how do we hope to live? I would suggest that you really just have to go home tonight and turn on the news to hear how people shouldn't interact with one another, how people shouldn't talk to one another. And I would encourage the members of the legislature, staff, our guests, and all of the residents of Dutchess County that in a time where it seems that people are obsessed with tearing one another down, finding ways to criticize instead of collaborate, and diminishing one another. In fact, I've heard from elected officials, sadly, some across the state, who've said things like, well, if you disagree with me, there's really no place for you here. And that's offensive. The bottom line is that we as a community, if we are to be a successful, stronger, healthier, safer community, we have to respect one another and the differences that we have. And that might be in our discourse, but throughout our lives, in our homes, and throughout our community, there are individuals of different abilities, there are individuals with different backgrounds, different income levels, all deserve the same respect and support and extension of kindness. It's one of the reasons that we, with your blessing and adoption, recommissioned the Human Rights Commission and reestablished it. Under the leadership of our Human Rights Officer, Jody Miller, they've already started in our community. And I want to acknowledge Jody. She was just recently recognized and received an award just yesterday, I think. But I also, in acknowledging Jody, want to extend our appreciation to all of you for recommissioning the Human Rights Commission. But especially to one of your best, to Legislator Barbara Jeter Jackson, since the commission had become defunct, had never given up on those of us who might be able to bring it back to reality. And for that, Barbara, you are to be commended for your leadership and commitment in the advancement of human rights in Dutchess County. Thank you. So the Human Rights Commission has already held 2 listening forums with more to come. They'll be engaged next year in a transformative dialogue project with the goal of fostering better working relationships throughout the community. And on December 10th, in partnership with the Eleanor Roosevelt Center at Valkill, we'll celebrate for the first time in this county World Human Rights Day. Jody Miller will take on an additional task in 2017, and that is when we will launch our Workforce Diversity Task Force. The goal is to assist in further diversifying Dutchess County's workforce, but at the same time, reaching out to minority populations countywide to make it easier to access civil service exams so that municipalities throughout Dutchess can begin to diversify their workforce. I was asked once by an individual from the New York State Division of Civil Service, what was the most difficult challenge in diversifying your workforce in the civil service system? I said the civil service system, because it creates boundaries for individuals who may not be prepared to take a test or don't even know where to access that test. And we do pretty well, but we've got to do better to diversify our workforce, and that'll be one of Jody's efforts in the new year. Now, I think one area that we've been very successful is our partnership with our not-for-profits, and we have to acknowledge there are only so many things government can provide for. Without not-for-profits and non-government organizations throughout this county, we wouldn't be able to address so many of our priorities. So our agency partnership program, now in its 4th year, has been tremendously successful in bringing not-for-profits together to work to identify priorities and to apply Dutchess County resources in a fair way. This budget increases the agency partnership grant program funding to $900,000. This is a nearly 10% increase, with $100,000 of that dedicated for enhanced focus on youth services within the program. Now, we recognize that we also, as part of ensuring the very best for everyone, need to be cognizant of the fact that there are services that young people and their families need access to in order to ensure that they can succeed. So we are focused on expanding our youth services throughout the county, and in 2017 we're going to launch several programs administered principally by the Department of Community and Family Services. The first is called Strengthening Families. This program is meant to improve parenting skills and prevent the need for child placement in foster care or institutional settings, strengthening the family so that we don't lose individual young people to the juvenile criminal justice system. We are expanding a program called Community Schooling. This is one more service we're providing in the city of Poughkeepsie in partnership with the Poughkeepsie City School District. We're bringing our service staff right to the city school district, right into the local schools, so that we can provide assistance to young people in their school setting. We also are launching a Better for Families program. This is a partnership with families and the family court to help expedite the court process to improve safety, enhance the well-being of children, and to reunite families, making the family court process more effective and productive in reuniting safely families. Now, beyond that, we recognize that too many are left struggling too hard, and the disparities that exist within our income levels throughout this county, throughout the state, and throughout the nation continue to place a heavy burden on those at the lower end of our income scale. So, as part of our effort to help those in need, we are funding a $75,000 program with Legal Services of the Hudson Valley to assist in an initial disability application initiative. And let me explain what that means. So too many who would otherwise qualify for Social Security disability are denied not because they wouldn't qualify, but because the process of applying is too lengthy, it's too cumbersome, it's too complex, and it's too difficult. It can take as many as 4 years to appeal an initial declination decision, during which time these individuals who would otherwise have SSI benefits are left to receive TANF or safety net financial support. So by contracting with Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, we're able to assist individuals secure SSI benefits upon the initial application. By doing that, we not only will reduce Dutchess County's cost, but more importantly, we'll be able to help families who need the assistance and qualify and have right to that assistance. Now, beyond that, I think you know that Dutchess County's Office for the Aging does tremendous work, and our director, Todd Tancredi, has hit the ground running. He and his staff, of course, continue to expand and enhance the way in which we respond to senior services across the county, and we thank you, Todd, for that. This budget includes an additional $100,000 commitment to our home care budget so that we're able to serve more seniors, enabling them to maintain independent living. Now, there is one population that deserves more respect than perhaps they get nationwide, but it's one that we recognize as of significant value in our community, and those, of course, are those men and women who have gone off into service and returned home. And when they return home, they deserve the dignity and support of their community. And through our Division of Veteran Services, we do tremendous work, but we need to do more. The 2017 budget continues, makes official, in fact, our partnership with Mental Health America and Dutchess Community College to assist returning vets through our peer-to-peer program, very effective way of providing assistance to veterans who are returning and in need of service. And we're able to fund that program thanks to financial support secured by Senator Serino, and we extend our appreciation to you for that as well. Within that, we know that we have to continue to evolve the way in which we provide services to veterans, and that individuals returning home today may not look like, feel like, or experience the same trauma as generations before. And by the way, we're more sensitive to it and recognize that we don't want to leave veterans dealing with challenges without service. They also, by the way, I hate to say this, but they don't all join the American Legion or the VFW or the traditional organizations. So it becomes more important that we reach out into the community. Well, this year, we're going to host a Veteran Services Summit because we need to know who are the not-for-profits, who are the organizations, what are the service agencies that exist countywide, and ensure that we're all working together. What are they doing? How are they doing it? And how can we better coordinate and collaborate the delivery of service? With an effort of reaching out to veterans that we don't often get into contact with. And I want to acknowledge the advocacy really given to this issue by legislators Joe Coronado and Marc, both of whom have helped the legislature focus your Veterans Advisory Commissions, the committee, so that you're working hand in hand with the Veterans Services. But I know there's one area of particular concern. Veterans who return home trapped in the criminal justice system deserve a criminal justice system, a court system that recognizes their specific areas of concern. So the 2017 budget includes the organization of a Veterans Court. This Veterans Court will be established in the city of Beacon in partnership with the other service providers. That's where our drug court is. It's for all countywide residents. Its location is the city of Beacon Court. But we're going to need a little bit of help. So we've clapped a few times for Senator Serino and Assemblymember Barrett, and we extend a lot of appreciation. We don't need financial support. We're not asking for that. We just need the New York State Office of Court Administration to authorize our court. And as soon as they give us the authorization, we will move forward with launching that. And I know there are no two better people, should they have the opportunity in January to do this, to fight for our veterans than Assemblymember Barrett and Senator Serino. So we need that in order to move it forward. But it will happen in 2017 with OCA support. And I would ask you to please join me in extending appreciation, not only all of those here for their service, but to legislators in Coronado and Coviello for their leadership on this issue. This budget also adds resources within our own Veterans Services Office to ensure that veterans are receiving the benefits that they are eligible for. And we look forward to the expanded reach of Veterans Services, and I'd like to thank Nelson Rivera for his leadership as well. Now, I know that you know this next initiative is important to me personally, but I readily admit that's not what it's about. Our Think Differently initiative is very much about changing minds and opening hearts, ensuring that every individual, regardless of ability, is looked at their inherent ability to accomplish what they set out to accomplish in their own lives, and that too often we judge people by their disability as opposed to acknowledging their universal ability. And what Think Differently does is focuses our efforts, brands our efforts, and messages for residents across this county, and now, by the way, thanks to the New York State Association of Counties across the state, we're beginning to say to people that there needs to be a combat of this last bastion of prejudice, this prejudice of low expectations, that somehow individuals can't achieve something because they're just different than we are. Think Differently is about changing that and embracing people regardless of their ability and seeking to ensure universal accessibility throughout our community. Thanks to your willingness, earlier this year we appointed the first in the state Deputy Commissioners for Special Needs, and I'd ask you to join me in welcoming officially Tony Marie Sharafella. One area we're focused on is ensuring that parks are universally accessible. And Tony will be hosting a park summit later this year where Dutchess County communities will be coming together to develop universally accessible playground policies and understand how to apply that equipment and accessibility standards in their own playgrounds. And by the way, this effort will assist us in developing a Dutchess County Parks Master Plan. Now, Think Differently, as you know, has been embraced by the New York State Association of Counties, the New York State Conference of Mayors, the New York State Association of Towns. In one way or another, communities across the state have been embracing and adopting We Think Differently resolutions. And our efforts continue statewide. So we'll continue that, and Tony's work will be to continue to network statewide to provide assistance to municipalities who want to learn how to think differently and how to apply those principles in their community. At the same time, Tony will be working within Dutchess County to better coordinate and integrate the delivery of service to individuals, to the organizations and not-for-profits providing service. In 2017, we will host a service provider roundtable to better integrate and coordinate services for those with special needs. And together, with her leadership and all of you, we will continue to advocate for state and federal policy changes. Now, one change that we're very excited about is an initiative that the county clerk has embraced. And what Brad Kendall has asked is to apply the Think Differently principles to the county clerk's office. And in partnership with him and by extension with the Department of Human Resources, this budget includes a human resources and county clerk scanning initiative. This is in our effort to contract to offer vocational opportunities to those with special abilities. The goal will be to contract with a service provider and individuals who need employment to scan and digitize more than 500,000 pages of records in Dutchess County's care, ultimately reducing the need for physical record storage. This is a $138,000 commitment in our budget, plus an additional $135,000 included in the existing ECM capital project bond. Now, also, I can tell you that there are many families with particular young people who are non-communicative, many times are prone to wandering, or even, by the way, we have parents or grandparents who, because of Alzheimer's or dementia, have a tendency to wander. Well, the 2017 budget will initiate what we're calling Project Safe Return. This is a $50,000 pilot program where we will deploy GPS and communication tracking technology for individuals that are prone to wander. Again, providing assistance to those with special needs and perhaps those living with Alzheimer's or dementia, with the goal of using this technology to help individuals return home safely. Now, beyond that, and by extension, we expect that this program could very well provide assistance to domestic violence victims, and we'll evaluate that as we move the Project Safe Return program forward. Additionally, we're also training and looking internally about how we think differently. Thanks to steps undertaken by the Department of Community and Family Services under Commissioner Sabrina Marzuker's leadership, DCFS staff will participate in disability etiquette training. We will also expand and continue our special needs parenting program. This is to provide education and skill building for parents with mental and/or developmental disabilities so that they can strengthen their family situation. At the same time, we will launch training programs, a training program for child care centers throughout Dutchess County to better serve children with disabilities. One of the big obstacles for families trying to get back into the workforce is finding the right child care for their children with special needs. And in partnership with the Anderson Center for Autism, we will continue our business and tourist destination autism supported environment training to improve access to customers and potential employees. So this is the 2017 budget. I know that that was the abbreviated presentation. It's comprehensive. It speaks to our goals. It, I think, embraces the initiatives and the policies that you all have forwarded over the years. Our goal together is to improve the strength of Dutchess County's fiscal condition and the fiscal condition of our families. This budget, as I mentioned, holds spending level. This is the third consecutive year of property tax levy decreases, along with the second year of tax rate reductions. This budget maintains the county's strong fiscal position, all at the same time increasing our targeted investment in tourism, arts, agriculture, and economic growth. We seek to be a safer community, one where we continue to reform our criminal justice system, enhance our reentry programming to reduce recidivism, and assist individuals live independent lives. We seek to improve our law enforcement system through improved training and coordination among law enforcement agencies. And we are making strategic and important investments in Dutchess County's roads and bridges. We know that by making decisions both individually and collectively, we can improve the health of Dutchess County. And this budget includes funding and commitment to our prevention, intervention, and diversion programs, continuing to reshape mental health services. The establishment and opening of our stabilization center, and a commitment to a healthy county's challenge. And again, we extend and acknowledge that we ought to find ways to be kinder to one another. This budget advances the cause of human rights, expands our agency partnership grant program, includes new youth programming services, and helps all of us to think differently. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you today the 2017 executive budget for your consideration and adoption. It is sound, it is balanced, and it provides the commitment to targeted and critical core services while at the same time respectful of the fact that there are too many people paying too much in taxation across the state of New York. I want to thank you for your leadership and partnership, in particular Chairman Dale Borkett. I look forward not only to the review of this budget, but I'm thankful for the partnership that we've had. And to acknowledge someone who assumes the most important job over the next 2 weeks, and that is the chair of the Budget, Finance, and Personnel Committee. Having once held that responsibility, I can tell you that really the process is up to you. The chair doesn't define how the review of the budget goes. It's really up to you, whether you show up, whether you ask questions, and by the way, to some extent, whether you listen to the answers. And I commend and look forward to working with Legislator Flesland. and to your leadership in both caucuses, Jim Michio, Donna Bollner, Mickey Strawinski, and for St. Amparo. We look forward to working over these next several weeks in the adoption of this budget. And I too want to extend our appreciation to the staff of the legislature. Carolyn and your team, you do tremendous work. We're looking forward, by the way, to making these AV enhancements permanent so that you don't have to leave the dais, put down the screen, and I think we're going to be making some improvements to your microphone system, which doesn't work very well very often. But we look forward to our partnership together, and we thank you as well. And to the county administration, to department heads and staff of county government, I have nothing but respect for all of you. You do tremendous work, and I'm grateful for your leadership and your cooperation. And I think you'd all be willing to join with me in extending our appreciation to our budget office, its director, Jessica White, and our entire team, not only for the tremendously entertaining presentation that you have today, and by the way, the easier to understand, read, but more difficult to carry county budget. Beyond that, I think you know that the development and management of a county budget is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And to Jess and your entire staff, we extend our appreciation. To all of you, I appreciate what you do in this county, and I think you would join me in saying thank you to the taxpayers of Dutchess County, who time and time again respect and appreciate the work we do. They understand, by the way, that we have not embarrassed ourselves because of harsh discourse with one another, and they really look to you, not only for representation, but for cooperation. You know, each of you is elected to work with the other person who's elected to work with the other person who's elected to work with the other person. And we don't get anywhere if we only listen to people who agree with us, and we won't move anywhere if we only vote with the people that agree with us. So ultimately, compromise and collaboration is what will produce better government and enhance the way in which we do business. And lastly, to my partners in public service, Brad Kendall, Bill Grady, who are here. Jim Coughlin, who wanted to be here, his father had a medical emergency today, and he had to be with him, and to Sheriff Anderson. You've got a great team of individuals who work very, very hard, and they too deserve an acknowledgement around of applause. So I'm going to do this because since I talked really long, I suspect that you are too tired to ask questions. But at this moment in time, I would entertain 1 or 2 questions from members of the legislature if you have them. Otherwise, we've got several weeks to consider this budget in detail. There are a series of town hall meetings that will be held throughout the county. Next Tuesday, we will host our telephone town hall. Any questions? Mr. Incornado.
I don't know if this PA works or not, but anyway, I'll assume my voice is generally heard. I'm not sure, of course, we just got the budget this evening, but the question I would like to ask is, there's a significant number of foreclosures in Dutchess County. And the question is, could we possibly, and I'm not sure if it's reflected in here or even considered, but could we buy some of these zombie homes to house homeless?
It's very
with the banks to have them donate these homes which are not generating.
I will direct your question to the Department of Community Family Services and Commissioner of Finance when the time comes. We don't have a policy of doing that, although I think the city of Poughkeepsie has looked at land banking and some other investments, so that's a possibility. We can partner with them, but we'll be happy to consider what you've offered to us.
And a second equally important issue, I think, I'm not sure if the bus route on 9D stops at the VA hospital, but if it doesn't, it should consider that stop.
We'll absolutely be sure it does if it doesn't, but it does. So we won't have to change anything. No additional taxpayer subsidy for that one. Legislator Tyner.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. So in May, we learned about the $57 million fund balance, which is about 250% bigger than what it was. I think between 96 and 2012, on average, the fund balance was 20 million. So we have a massive fund balance. So is there any way you might be able to reconsider? For a while, I've been trying to expand the county's domestic abuse response team, so it's just not only in Poughkeepsie, Beacon, and Hyde Park. Would you be willing to consider bringing back the 5-day week to the senior friendship centers? Would you be willing to reconsider bringing back county funding to the elder abuse program, whether through Mediation Center of Dutchess County or not? I looked on page 659 of the budget, even though there's $100,000 added for home care for seniors.
You've studied the budget already? It's been on your desk for an hour.
I was multitasking.
You know, you were sitting there listening.
There's actually 3,000 less hours on page 659. So I'm just, and also the elephant in the room, I was reminded by the Rhinebeck Town Supervisor a couple nights ago, the town of Rhinebeck has lost $50,000 a year from the county sales tax revenue sharing formula. Poughkeepsie's in hard times. With the $57 million fund balance, is there any way the cities, towns, and villages can get back some of that money? Because they're facing hard times.
Okay, I've heard your
They're
question.
swimming in money.
I've heard you. We're not. First of all, please understand that our fund balance is still 10% of our county budget, which, by the way, you can't look at the fund balance 10 years ago without also looking at the budget 10 years ago. So our budget and our fund balance is appropriate. First of all, the town of Rhinebeck is wrong. They didn't lose $57,000. In fact, they've netted an increase since then because of the county's desire to take back election costs and provide certain assistance. Here's my answer to you, and I say this to the city of Poughkeepsie. The mayor, at the request of the city council, Mayor Rollison and I met with Mayor Casal today. We acknowledge one important thing that you don't want to acknowledge, and I'll be kind about it. But the sales tax law is complex. It is outdated, and it is very, very difficult. In fact, the risk of renegotiating a sales tax agreement is greater than the condition we have right now. And despite protestations otherwise, I'd suggest municipalities do what we did. And I mean this sincerely. Confront the question of, why do we do it that way? And, there are communities all across Dutchess that are using their talent and their resource to improve the efficient delivery of service. And then there are some who choose not to. There are communities in Dutchess County, like the city of Beacon, who did take on the challenge. In fact, used the new sales tax agreement to confront wages within their workforce, consolidate certain services, and then there are some that don't. There are mayors in this county who are willing to take on the difficult decisions and explain to taxpayers that we can't continue to do things the way we've always done them and expect better outcomes, and then there are city council members who aren't. At the end of the day, what we expect in this community is to be different, to be innovative, to be more creative. And by the way, I would offer to you, this is not a debate, so we'll get back to this, I'm sure, at a later date. The sales tax agreement, we'll renegotiate it when it's complete. This is a binding document adopted by the city councils in Poughkeepsie and Beacon and the Dutchess County Legislature. It just doesn't get tossed away because you don't want it. And by the way, when I became county executive, there seems to be some who forget this. There was no sales tax agreement. And by the way, this county government didn't live up to its responsibility to have a sales tax agreement. So absent that, there was a town comptroller in a town in this community, in this county, who threatened to sue us. Well, thankfully, he's a little busy now, but thankfully, who threatened to sue us. And you know what would have happened if, by the way, that action was taken? Dutchess County and the city of Poughkeepsie would have lost its sales tax revenue. In fact, the city of Beacon and Poughkeepsie would have been forced to levy its own sales tax. And in doing so, would have gone from about $11 million in sales tax revenue to somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 or $4 million. We took action to finally solve a problem, and I think that that's important. And through negotiation, and by the way, giving up a little bit, everybody did, we came to a solution. And the way we solve this moving forward is cooperation. It's collaboration. It's working together to improve the delivery of services. And I think that Dutchess County taxpayers want that. And the money you generate in sales tax, and we collect as a county government, it doesn't go to pay for things that are wasteful. We provide services to city residents. We provide services to residents in Rhinebeck and Red Hook. We preserve farmland and open space. We commit to those things that make a difference in everyone's life. You can hold on to parochialism. You can maintain the old way of doing business. You can do that. But there are cities across America that are bankrupt because they wouldn't take on the challenge of finding new ways to grow the economy, to collaborate with one another, to enhance the way they deliver services. That is the way we will enhance the city of Poughkeepsie. And I'm grateful that we have a mayor who understands that and is willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with the mayor of Beacon and all of you and say, where the city of Poughkeepsie goes, so does Dutchess County. And by working together, we can enhance our economic condition and make sure that that city is as efficient, as effective as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much. Enjoy, and we look forward to